guys, it is the Schrothinator here, and I am here playing EA Sports UFC, and as you just saw right there, I have created John Moraga in this video game. I think I did the best I could possibly do, but I mean, obviously he doesn't look perfect. He's the right height, the right weight, of course. The tattoo on his back, I just couldn't get. I mean, they didn't put a tattoo in this game close enough to his tattoo. So, basically, like, he's a freestyle wrestler, like he is in real life, of course. I try to make it as realistic as possible, the stats as realistic as possible. Like, he has some pretty good health stats for a flyweight. His stand-up is about 90. His ground game is about 90 as well, and his submissions are 92. Now, the reason I have his submissions higher than his stand-up and his ground is because most of his wins are by submission. Now, his last loss, besides John Dodson, I mean, they kind of screwed him over that injury. They thought he was injured, but he really wasn't. So, oh wow, I got a flash TKO to the body. But anyway, they kind of screwed him over there, so I didn't really count that. But the last loss before that was he got submitted by Demetrius Johnson's by arm submission. So I don't have his joint submission defense as high as the rest of his abilities, but you know, I gave him some decent power, gave him some good speed, of course, since he's a flyweight. And really, he's just, you know, he's one of the taller flyweights, so I definitely had to give him some more rangier attacks, but I gave him some flying knees. That's the most flashy things he does. He's got good submissions, like I said. Like, his best is choke submissions, obviously. If you look at his, you know, all of his submission wins, I believe only one of them is by armbar, the rest are by chokes. But here we go, on to the next fighter. Yes, the next fighter that I created is Edson Barboza. Obviously, ranked 6th in the world at lightweight. He has some vicious kicks, hence the reason I gave him that ability. And I forgot to mention about John Moraga, his complete overall is 91. I know I told you the specifics, like his ground, stand-up, and submissions, but overall it's 91. Edson Barboza's overall is 90, and his stand-up is overall 91. He's a kickboxer, of course, like in real life. I try to make it as realistic as possible, try to get his looks on. I didn't see any tattoos on him, so I just try to get his body type right. But he basically has the stand-up of 90, overall 91, his ground is 86, and his submissions are 90. But, you know, you might say, like, oh, how does that equal up to a 90 overall if his ground game is so low? His health stats, though, are actually pretty significantly well. His chin, I obviously didn't put up too much after he got dropped by a jab from Donald Cerrone. His choke submission defense isn't the highest, but I do have his joint submission up more. I have his choke submission up a bit because, you know, I have his choke submission and joint submission at 90 because he only has one submission win, surprisingly enough, from a Brazilian, and that's by Anaconda choke before he was even in the UFC. All of his UFC wins are either by decision or a KO or TKO. Obviously, the spinning back kick I just landed on Josh Thompson is the most infamous attack by Edson Barboza, along with Barboza's leg kicks. He has some amazing kicks in his arsenal. Something I just remembered I have to change about Barboza is I have to give him the ability of attacking the base. He needs to have that ability because he has such strong leg kicks, and he actually has, I believe, 2 finishes that I checked by leg kick TKOs. Like, that's like, if you have 1, that's impressive, but if you have 2, that's just amazing. That's amazing power in this guy's legs. I made sure his kicks are high, of course, and he also has the vicious kicks ability that I mentioned. So if you ever, for some reason, if they ever come out with something like you can upload your fighters, which I know they won't, but let's just say they did, smart bet is just to throw a lot of kicks, unless you're fighting someone like holy shit. If you fight someone like Ben Henderson, where he's really good at taking you down, or Frankie Edgar, Gilbert Melendez, someone that's good at taking you down, just be patient with your kicks. And look at this combo here. Something you can do easily with Edson Barboza is land some vicious combos here. Oh my god, that's just vicious, but that's going to be it for Edson Barboza. Now, on to the next and final fighter. Now, my next fighter that I've created is Kelvin Gastelum. Now, Kelvin Gastelum here, you know, in real life, 5'9", 170 pounds, but he is a tad smaller than Johnny Hendricks is. As you can see, like, he can't make weight as proper as most welterweights. But I did keep him as a welterweight in the game, just because that's what he's been most recently. And I know he's going to be moving up to welterweight, but whatever. I made sure to give him all bad boy stuff, because that's all I see him wearing is a whole bunch of bad boy apparel. So I made sure to give him, you know, all basically like red, white, and black bad boy apparel. Now, Kelvin Gastelum here, I gave him like all these power punches. I gave him heavy hands. I didn't put his power all the way up, but you know, it's definitely up there quite a bit. Now, I made his stand-up 90, submissions 90, making his choke submissions, of course, stand out, giving him the chest master ability because of how good he is with locking in those chokes. And his ground game is 91 because of his, of course, his wrestling background, his also, plus his size will help him with the takedowns and all that. I gave him a pretty decent clinch. You know, I made him able to throw guys around just because, again, of his size, his power. Right there, you see the power in his takedowns. And I made sure to give him crushing presence and also force of nature, so whenever he gets taken down, it takes some more stamina out of his opponent. Also, when he keeps his opponent on the ground, the more he stays on top, the more he tries to stay active on the ground. The crushing presence ability makes Rory McDonald here lose his stamina. Now, I'm trying not to finish him right away because I want to... No, I don't want to just go ahead and just finish the fight here. I kind of want to explain Kelvin Gastelum a little bit more. I accidentally finished him. I went to go for a body shot. But right there, you can see the power in Kelvin Gastelum. I did my best with his face. That's the best face I could find. I gave him that hair because, you know, recently, I believe, around his Tyron Woodley fight, he actually had that hairstyle, the Uncle Creepy Ian McCall hairstyle. Kind of an odder hairstyle, but, you know, I'm just trying to make it as realistic and most recent as possible. The body type, I made sure I didn't make him look too muscular, but I didn't make him look too fat. You know, he has got, you know, kind of like Johnny Hendricks, he's got that fatty muscle look. But, you know, I made sure not to overpower any of these creative guys here. I made sure not to underpower them in any way. I try to make their stats as realistic as possible. His Kelvin Gastelum's complete overall is 90. I don't know if I told you that or not. But Kelvin Gastelum, I made sure I didn't give him the best stamina, of course. So if you're fighting in a tournament fight or in a rivalries fight and you're in the 5th round and you're using this Kelvin Gastelum, you're not going to be in a good place. I mean, he's probably not like a Roy Nelson bad, but I mean, it's pretty bad. But again, I think that's realistic, so I'm going to go ahead and thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please hit that like button. Also comment, let me know what you thought about all 3 of these fighters, John Moraga, Edson Barboza, and Kelvin Gastelum. And of course, hit that subscribe button. That's the best thing you guys can do. Anyway, I'm out.